For 11 weeks, I thought the hard part was starting. That's the story I told in episode 1. That's the story I believed. 47 abandoned projects. All of them died at the start, right? I just couldn't get off the ground. I was wrong. Starting was never my problem. I started 47 things. The finish is where I always went missing. And I spent 12 weeks building the discipline to get here, without ever seeing what the finish would ask of me. This is what it asked. This is the discipline experiment. 12 videos in 12 weeks. 47 projects quit before this one. This series was me testing whether I could break that pattern. Episode 12, the finale. If you've ever crossed a finish line and felt something you didn't expect, not triumph, not relief, but something quieter and harder, this one's for you. When I sat down to write this episode, I had nothing. Not because I ran out of ideas, because I thought I'd feel something when I got here. Triumph, relief, vindication, something. Instead, I felt restless, like I'd been climbing towards something for 12 weeks, and when I reached it, the ground just kept going. No summit, no end point, just more terrain. And I kept asking myself, why is this episode harder to write than episode 1? Episode 1, I didn't know if I could do this. I didn't know if anyone would watch. I didn't know what I was building or whether it would matter. But I had momentum. I had the energy of starting, the hope that comes with, maybe this time is different. Episode 12, I know I can finish this. The series is done. The thing I set out to prove, proven. But I don't have the momentum anymore. Because momentum doesn't carry you past the finish line. It carries you to it. And once you cross it, you're just standing there, in the silence, with a question you didn't see coming. Now what? And that's when I saw it, the pattern I've been running my whole life, and got completely backwards. I thought the hard part was starting. That's why I quit 47 things, because starting felt impossible, and I never built the discipline to push through. But that wasn't actually true. I started 47 things. Starting was never the problem. The problem was, I never stayed long enough to reach the part where finishing asked the harder question. Here's what I know now, 12 episodes in. The start of a project is hard because you don't know if it'll work. The finish of a project is hard because you don't know what's next. And here's the part I really didn't see coming. I was afraid of the finish. Not because of what it would end, because of what it would reveal. 47 times I protected myself from finding out. I quit before the verdict arrived. Every time. There's a concept in behavioral psychology called identity-based change. James Clear talks about it in Atomic Habits. The argument is this. Most people set goals around outcomes. I want to finish 12 episodes. But the people who actually follow through aren't running on outcomes. They're running on identity. I'm someone who finishes what they start. That's what this series was building. Week by week, episode by episode. Not just the videos, the identity. But here's the thing about identity-based change that nobody talks about. The identity only becomes real when the container ends, and the behavior continues anyway. Anyone can finish 12 episodes with a public commitment and a fixed deadline. The question is, who are you when the deadline disappears? When no one's watching? When there's no episode schedule? When the only thing holding you accountable is you? That's not a discipline question. That's a self-worth question. And it's the one I've been running from for years. So here's what I'm actually sitting with as this series closes. I didn't quit 47 things because I lacked discipline. I quit because I was afraid of finishing, and it still not being enough. If I quit before the finish, I could keep the story. The story where I'm someone with potential, someone who just hasn't found the right thing yet, someone who, given the right circumstances, the right structure, the right accountability, could do something worth finishing. The moment I let something get real, the moment I let it matter, that story was at risk. Because if I finished and it still wasn't enough, if I crossed the line and felt nothing, or felt that same restlessness, then I'd have proof. Not that the project failed, that I was always going to feel this way. So I ran, dressed it up as strategy, called it a pivot, said, wrong niche, bad timing, I'll come back to it. And I did that 47 times. The discipline wasn't the problem. The discipline was the distraction. What I was actually avoiding was the finish. And the question the finish asks, can you do this and still not be enough? And do it anyway. If you're finishing something right now, or standing at the finish line wondering why it doesn't feel the way you thought it would, here's what I've learned. Move 1. The flatness at the finish isn't failure, it's information. You thought you'd feel triumphant. You feel restless instead. That restlessness isn't telling you something went wrong. It's telling you the structure ended, and now you have to find out who you are without it. That's not a crisis. That's the actual experiment. The 12 weeks were the scaffolding. This moment, the silence after, is the building. Move 2. Name what you were actually afraid of. Not what if I fail. That's the easy fear. Everyone knows that one. The harder question, what if you finish and it still doesn't feel like enough? If you can answer that honestly, you're not running from the finish anymore. You're walking toward it with your eyes open. That's different. Completely different. Move 3. The momentum runs out. Build something underneath it. Fresh starts are real. Public commitments work. Deadlines create discipline. But none of that survives the end of the container. The only thing that does? Knowing why the work matters when no one's measuring it. Not the outcome, not the audience, not the streak. The reason that exists when all of that is gone. Find that before you need it. 12 weeks ago, I thought starting was the hard part. What I didn't know, what 12 episodes taught me, is that starting is easy. Starting has hope. Starting has the energy of maybe this time. Starting is exciting precisely because nothing's been proven yet. The finish is where the real work shows up. Because the finish doesn't just ask, can you complete this? It asks, can you find out who you are when the momentum runs out? I spent 12 weeks learning discipline. What I didn't expect was what discipline can't protect you from. It can't protect you from the silence after. It can't protect you from the question the finish asks. It can't tell you whether finishing will be enough. But here's what I know now. I stopped running before the verdict. I stayed. And now I know the verdict doesn't have to destroy me. It's just information. And I can do something with information. 47 projects I quit before I found out. This one, I stayed. That's not everything, but it's not nothing. 12 episodes, 12 weeks. 47 projects that aren't this one. Thank you for being here, for watching, for commenting, for holding me accountable just by showing up. This series is done. Still here.